Hello everyone and welcome. It is Thursday, October 8th, and if you've been wondering what's been happening in space and astronomy news this past week, then you've come to the right place. So the first and most exciting news, I think, is that the Physics Nobel Prize was announced this week on Tuesday, October 6th. And last year the Physics Prize was actually awarded in the field of astrophysics, and so to be honest, I wasn't really expecting it to be an astrophysics related prize again this year, but guess what? It was! So I think that's super exciting because I think astrophysics is the best field of physics. Sorry to my fellow physicists, but we all play favorites, right? So the prize was actually awarded for two separate but related things, both regarding black holes. So the first half of the prize went to Roger Penrose for the discovery that black hole formation is a robust outcome of general relativity. General relativity, which was one of Einstein's big works, predicted the existence of black holes, but no one really thought that it was kind of a real thing until this paper by Roger Penrose, which came out about 10 years after Einstein's death, which showed that black holes were in fact a real phenomenon that arose out of general relativity. So on the one hand, you have the theory of black holes, but on the other hand, you have the observation of black holes. Now, black holes are black because light can't escape them. So how do we actually observe them? Well, we can't observe them directly, but we can observe the effect that they have on objects around them. And that's what the other half of this prize went to. It went to two different astronomers that will be split between, Reinhard Genzel and Andrea Ghez. And both of them led teams that observed the center of our galaxy, which we call Sagittarius A star. And yes, the star is part of that name. By observing the orbits of stars and objects at the center of our galaxy, we can deduce the properties of the black hole at the center of the galaxy, and in fact find that it is a supermassive black hole that weighs about 4 million times as much as our own sun. So this is really exciting work that all of these physicists have done, and I am so happy for them to be awarded this prize, which is normally awarded on December 10th in Sweden. Some other big news out there is related to the JWST, or the James Webb Space Telescope, which is the next big space telescope being launched by NASA. So before you can launch something, it's a big and complex observatory into space, you need to test it very vigorously. And so JWST recently completed their environmental testing that makes sure that the telescope can survive being launched into space, because the process of launching something into space can be very disruptive to the cargo. So you had to make sure that the telescope will be able to endure the noise and the shaking of a space launch on a rocket. And that's what these tests did, and they were passed. And so James Webb, the next environment that it's actually going to experience is space, which is pretty exciting. So next up for James Webb is to do a last extension of its primary mirror and sun shield, and then a full systems test before it gets packed up and shipped so that it can get prepared for launch. And its current scheduled launch date is October 31st, 2021. So we're almost about a year away from James Webb launching, knock on wood. Hopefully there won't be any more delays related with this one. But it's really exciting news that it passed this environmental testing. Good luck to James Webb going forward. You may have seen some really awesome images floating around from a recent rocket launch on Tuesday, October 6th. And this was a SpaceX rocket launch of Falcon 9, which was used to launch the Starlink 12 mission, which is actually the 13th mission launching Starlink satellites for SpaceX's constellation of satellites. And the payload was 60 satellites, and it launched successfully on Tuesday morning at 7:29 a.m. from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So you might think, didn't I just hear about this SpaceX launch? You probably did. This is actually the 17th launch that SpaceX has done in 2020 alone. And it's the 94th launch for Falcon 9 to date. And so maybe it seems routine to you, but I still think it's amazing that there's a private company that is routinely launching items into space. Even just a few years ago, that would have seemed really crazy. So congratulations to SpaceX on a successful launch, and here's to many more going forward. And then lastly, this week is actually World Space Week, which is super exciting. So this is something that has been declared by the UN between October 4th and October 10th every year. So October 4th is the anniversary of the launch of Sputnik, which was the very first satellite that was ever launched. And October 10th is the anniversary of the signing of the Outer Space Treaty in 1967, which is the international basis for law regarding space. So this week is dedicated to all things space, and it is the largest space celebration on Earth. In 2019, there were over 8,000 events associated with World Space Week in 96 different countries. So it's super exciting. The theme for this year's Space Week 2020 is Satellites Improve Life. So there's a lot of cool things related with this, even in this time of pandemic when we maybe can't have as many awesome and fun in-person events as would be ideal. So I'll leave a bunch of links down below for all of the news items I talked about today. And I will see you again next week.